Squirrel. I'm actually going to pass it to Jimmy, who's going to start us off today, and then he'll pass the baton back at some point.
That will work well. Thank you, Nancy. And thank you everyone for joining us. Thanks for coming in and letting us answer some of your questions about the program that we are so passionate and so excited to share with you with Pre-K on My Way. We feel like it's especially important that this opportunity, and thank you TA for allowing this opportunity to answer questions, because in the creation of this program, we worked with partners from across the nation to ensure that we had rich, authentic instruction for your students, so that inside of your classrooms, you were ensured that not only 100% of pre-K guidelines were met, but that you created a rich and motivating learning experience. Using our 3 mascots, which are embedded throughout our program, Pablo, as he takes us through the literacy module with these beautiful alphabet books. Our good friend Lala, who leads us through the math module with manipulatives as students work on identifying shapes and practice subitizing. And then of course, our good friend Scout in our language module. So we partnered with lead researchers from CLI, from the Erickson Institute, from the Yale as well, to create these modules. But our most important partner has been teachers. And in utilizing teachers for our program, we've made sure that not only is the curriculum the best pedagogy and the most up-to-date research, but also allows for great ease of use. So we're gonna show that to you, but what we really wanna do to maximize the time is play just a short video for you to provide you an overview of our program, Pre-K on My Way.
Every child has a unique story. Pre-K on My Way invites children to celebrate their individuality, from culture and language to interest and abilities. Watch children build on strengths throughout a learning adventure while preparing for kindergarten. Available in English and Spanish, Pre-K on My Way builds language, literacy, and math skills, led by our friendly mascots. Scout the Squirrel is nuts about language and vocabulary, helping children collect words to add to their mental book bags. Pablo the Parrot takes flight, guiding children in building literacy skills through the power of story. Lala the Lizard transforms numbers into fun, helping children understand mathematical thinking. All the while, children learn skills in science, social studies, writing, and more. Don't forget our favorite big red dog, Clifford, supporting children with social and emotional skills. Pre-K on My Way provides multiple weeks of flexible instruction with exciting themes. Children engage with authentic narratives in English and Spanish, including read-alouds, alphabet books, classroom libraries, and digital little e-readers. Pre-K on My Way teaches to identify and understand the world around us with a diverse collection of multicultural songs from award-winning artists. Engaging circle time activities and opportunities for purposeful play. Pre-K on My Way inspires children to develop a lifelong love of learning, and teachers enjoy leading the journey.
Thanks, Nancy, and appreciate that, and always brings a smile to my face. And we sure hope that we have the chance to be inside of your classrooms and bring the smile that we know will bring to children in actually implementing this curriculum. And we talked about the ease of use story and the ease of use picture there, which was so important, and then partnership with teachers. And when reviewing our program, we encourage you to dig deeply into our program and see the depth of instruction that is available in Pre-K on My Way. And one of the key points to point out in our short time to give you the overview is to let you know, this is a reinvented teacher's guide. This teacher's guide that I'm holding provides you, the teachers, and you, the reviewers, the chance to give the overview of the program, because the meat of our instruction is actually on these beautiful teaching cards. And the ease of use story around making sure that teachers not only have great curriculum to implement, but are able to implement it easily, as they're able to teach from these cards throughout the program. If I'm teaching you Thank You Amu right now, my instruction is right here. So again, that's why we think it's so valuable to have this chance to answer questions as you go through your review, because our program is innovative in design, innovative in research, and innovative in ease of use, which can make reviewing it a bit different. But we believe when spent the time to dig deep, ask questions today, you'll find that Pre-K on My Way truly is the program that best matches what your students need to know and be able to do. So Thank you for the time to give the overview. I'm going to introduce my colleagues that are in the room that can help answer questions as we go through today. I love to tell the story that our English and Spanish were created side by side, and we don't mean figuratively created side by side. Nancy Garrity and Natalie worked together every step of the way to make sure that the English and Spanish were fully equitable. So our creators and lead developers of this program are in the room to answer your questions. My good friend Arnitra Duckett is in the room as well, along with our Senior Vice President, Chris Hedrick. So we are here to answer your questions, to talk you through the program. And again, thank you for showing up and letting Scholastic be a point of review for your important decision. So we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you. I should also say, as the questions start to come in, we heard you loud and clear talking yesterday, and we've been taking notes furiously throughout the conference. We loved this, the word cloud that was shared yesterday that really resonated with us too. So we were excited about that. So if you have any questions related to this or any questions related to the TRR rubric, we want to acknowledge that our program is under re-review, as Melissa said yesterday. So I think she said that they're hoping to have the re-review completed toward the end of the month. So we're looking forward to that too, and really glad to be working with them on that. But if you have any questions specific to the TRR rubric, we can respond to those today. And we do want to point out that with item number 1, Pre-K on My Way is approved as meeting 100% of the TPGs, the Texas Pre-Kindergarten Guidelines, and it is adopted by the State Board of Education. So those things won't change. So if anybody has any questions, happy to take them.
Actually, a couple of questions, Nancy. So actually, I could answer the first one, which is the literature for Spanish authentic stories, or is it just translated English stories? And actually, as Jimmy said, the English team and the Spanish team worked together, and we started by choosing the books. We actually scouted the world, Nancy's team and my team, and we read just about every single book that's in the program. And we decided sometimes that there were Spanish books that were appropriate and were much better, and we then trans-adapted, and I want to repeat that, trans-adapted. Nothing in the program is translated. It was trans-adapted into English. And there were some books that were wonderful in English, and we trans-adapted them into Spanish. The program itself was never translated. It was written in English and in Spanish at the same time.
It was. Natalie and I got to know each other very, very well during this process. So each piece of the program, from the books to the instruction to the vocabulary, was crafted simultaneously, and it gets English and Spanish with back and forth throughout the process.
Yeah, a question from Patricia related to how we build in the differentiation for English learners as well as for students with disabilities. I think, Nancy, that would probably be a great question for you to answer, possibly.
Sure, and forgive me, I'm not usually a presenter. I'm an editorial person, so I'm gonna get a little sloppy perhaps with my jumping around the PowerPoints, but I want to be able to answer that question well with some visuals. We do, as Jimmy mentioned, we partnered with CLI, the Children's Learning Institute, and oh, Jimmy's got a card in his hand already. And part of what we learned from them, some of you might be familiar with their program, Developing Talkers, and we actually partnered with them to license their instructional model that they've been refining for years and has been proven to be effective. We built that into our program, and included within that instructional model are areas for differentiation, upward and downward. So we have throughout the program built-in supports for 3-year-olds or children who need a little bit of extra support, or 5-year-olds or children who are ready for a little bit more. So we've got this yellow and blue color coding throughout. We originally had different colors, and then we heard loud and clear from our educator advisors in Texas that they felt like we were sending a message by having green for our 5-year-olds. So we changed that to blue. And it's used consistently throughout the program. And Jimmy, if you could go ahead and hold up your card, I'll see if I can find my right PowerPoint here.
Yeah, and so what I love about this, again, when we talk about the ease of use for educators, when we talk about those modifications being on every card, what we know, especially when we're working with the youngest students, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, is that we need to be able to adapt our instruction in the moment of instruction. So those modifications that you're asking about for learners of English or learners with disabilities are right there on your teaching card. So when I ask a question that is appropriate for a typically developing 4, if I see the struggle, I immediately answer that question by supporting that student with tips on my teaching cards. And or if I find that they answer it quickly, I have my challenge right there with me. So that's that ease of use story, knowing what it's like to work inside of a pre-K classroom, where in the moment of instruction, those modifications to instruction are right there with me, clipped onto the back of my book, or sitting in a small group holding the card actually right there for students, which is one of the most dynamite pieces of this program.
Let's zoom into what Jimmy was just holding up. So this is that large group card, and you can see the yellow extra material for support, the blue for challenge to sort of ratchet up the conversation that's happening during large group. And then as well on the small group cards, we have that same color coding. You can ratchet up the target activity if you want to for a group of older children or children who are ready for more, or take it down a little bit. A lot of our activities have picture card support with conversation prompts on the back. And again, the color coding flows through there. And again, this is the same across English and Spanish. And then in our implementation guide, we give a thorough explanation of all of this and the thinking behind it. And we also talk about supports for multilingual learners, so English language learners. One of our advisors on the program through our work with CLI is Dr. Maria Carlo. And she once asked me a question. She said, if someone asks you where your multilingual learner supports are, what will you say? And I said, well, I'll say that we have these multilingual learner supports called out specifically on our large group cards and on our small group cards, which we do. You'll see that title in there, multilingual learner support. She said, you have it all over the place through the model that we licensed from CLI. Built into their model, they took research from English language development and applied it for all young learners. So it's really built in throughout the program. And this in the implementation guide for Pre-K on My Way, you can read about that. We pre-teach vocabulary. We have 800 illustrative photographs just to teach vocabulary. We also have photographs for all of our small group activity cards. We have a total response involved in every single vocabulary lesson. Every card involves total physical response. We have gestures built in. We repeat vocabulary across the program. One of the things we heard folks talking about yesterday is multiple representations throughout the program, that was important to you all. And we do have that throughout the program. We have a really strong language development component. We were very careful in our development of children's language and specifically our vocabulary cards, following a careful, it was a 9-step process that was developed with CLI. And as we developed our program across, as Jimmy described, our language, literacy, and math domains with applied learning and science and the arts and social studies, across the entire program, if we ever repeat a vocabulary word, we're consistent with that definition, but we give a different total physical response and different discussion points. So we're being consistent, but we're expanding children's understanding of that word. And we also give a different photograph for it. So we're consistent with the definition, but constantly giving multiple representations to broaden their understanding. And we do a lot of multiple representations in math as well. Anyway, I don't need to go through all of this. It's in the implementation guide, which you have access to through the digital review site, but you can see it here on the screen. Did I answer that thoroughly? Did I miss anything, Jimmy or Natalie?
I think you covered that deeply. Yeah, Nancy, I think that's perfect. And again, I'm trying to go through questions as best as I can in order here. The technology piece being reviewed, I'm not quite sure about the intent of that question there.
I can talk about our technology.
There's also, just I see a question that is, it refers to what you were talking about, Nancy. Does the curriculum align and connect to CLI circle assessment?
Yes, it does. It does. We have built into the program, we have observational assessments, weekly observational assessments to help with formative instruction formative assessment and responsive instruction along the way. And we also have a connection to circle assessment. we worked with CLI to really talk through that. And Dr. Tricia Zucker, who's co-director of CLI, said that she feels that after working with us on our program, that our structure and our small group activities in particular, we have 3 small group activities per day that you can use. So we have a large library of them, and they're all fully searchable by skill, by TPG code. They're built into the program, but if you also want to pull certain ones for reteaching, so if you do circle assessment, you find that specific children have needs in certain areas, you can easily use our interactive lesson planner on our Pre-K on My Way Teacher Hub to pinpoint small group activities that you can use to target reteaching of those particular skills that children need help with.
I have a question. What about the assessments? Are those computer or observational?
They're observational.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to attempt to, Jimmy, I'll attempt to answer is the technology piece being reviewed? When I read that question, I'm going to assume that's relative to our ongoing TRR review process. And the answer is yes, technology is being reviewed as part of that process.
Thank you. That is true. And I can show you a little bit about that on here. So you'll see we're trying to keep organized about how our program aligns to TRR, so we can answer folks' questions well. So for technology applications, we have a couple different programs that are built specifically for our program. We have our little e-readers, which is a collection of 64 books across English and Spanish, and those are aligned with each theme. Jimmy talked about the themes within our program. We have 8 themes, and then within each theme, you've got 4 specific concepts, 1 per week, that children are exploring throughout that week. And these e-readers are directly aligned to support that conceptual exploration. They're accessible at home and at school on any platform. They're browser-based, so they work on computers, they work on phones, they work on tablets. We also have our digital song collection, which we love. This was curated specifically for our program. And again, the same way that our little e-readers align specifically to the concepts that are being explored every week, our digital song collection does this. And it's a rich song collection. Some of you might have heard some concerts that we put on to help boost people's morale and get children dancing over the past couple of months. We have some Grammy Award winning artists, some original songs in there, but it's all aligned to the program. We also have all of our digital instruction available on our Teacher Hub. So if you want to teach over Zoom, if you are teaching in a classroom, we hope soon, and have an interactive whiteboard, you can display the instructional pieces on there. We have built into the program at point of use, we have different technology applications built into the program. So, use a word processor for a specific activity, use a digital camera for another activity. All of that is built into the program. And then in addition, back to that multiple representations question, we tried to purposely build into the program images of people using technology in real life and really get at that TPG that talks about the use of technology and help children understand that it's not just something that sits in a center, but it's something that people use every day, and it's a purposeful tool. So we try to build that into the program so children get to see how it's used and have teachers model its use.
Let me ask you, so it's everything digital? Because we've been using big data and I like it. The only thing is right now with what's going on right now, some of the things, since they're like, especially the posters for the themes, I couldn't show those to my kids because they're not digital. So is anything similar like that now?
Yeah, that's one of the things that we're about. There were a few items that are in print that were not made available during the review, but we're digitizing them now.
Okay, so they're going to be digital. Because that was one of my concerns, like how am I going to take a picture or shrink that big poster so the kids can see it on my Zoom class?
You don't need to do that. It'll be provided for you.
Okay. Another thing, how about the Spanish? I know because I teach, we also teach Spanish, but one of my concerns was the way Spanish is like the alphabet, how it's taught.
Mhm.
Was it different than just the regular A through Z, or is it different?
I can call that up, Natalie. I'll be your Vanna.
Okay,
Because I know that in Spanish we start with the vowels and then we go to syllabus.
right.
So
So the way we built Pre-K on My Way and Pre-K on My Way in Espanol is so that they work as they work together for any kind of bilingual program. So instead of being two monolingual programs put together, they're one bilingual program. So we follow each other in how we teach everything. And then for Spanish, certain things from phonological awareness are different because of what you said.
yeah.
So, but we do complement each other. We're working together so that the children learn in both ways. Does that make sense?
I would encourage you. People have asked us about this, and so we have developed two papers, one on alphabet knowledge and one on phonological awareness. If you want to drop your information into the chat, we can follow up with you and provide.
Just a quick interruption that the next session for anybody that's trying to get to another room is going to start in 3 minutes.
Thank you. Are there?
And I would, and I would like to mention Nancy and team before we run out of time. For the participants that have attended, there were a lot of just fantastic questions. So thank you for that, and thank you to my Scholastic teammates for the great answers. We would love to invite you. There's nothing we would like more than to visit you virtually or in person, whatever makes most sense for you and your districts, to do a presentation or a deeper dive, question and answer, whatever we can do to serve you in your decision-making process. We would invite that. And we've got a Texas website where we can direct you. If you've not been able to find it, we can direct you to your account executive if you're not sure who that is. So I just don't want to leave here without saying, we would love the opportunity to speak more directly to you, present to you, answer any questions, and help you dive into Pre-K on My Way. We're very excited. There's the screen that shows you the account executives in the different areas of Texas. If you're not sure, you can reach out to any of them, and we will immediately respond. So please take advantage of that. We would love it. Sorry, Nancy, back to you. I interrupted.
No, that was great. I think it's time for people to move on to their rooms. I just want to say thank you for your questions. And Natalie and I are talk about the program. We're really proud of it. We're grateful we got to talk. Natalie, do you have anything else you want to say?
Adios.
Again.
Yeah, thank you, Patricia. I see we'll make sure we have a question in the chat and get the alphabet paper to you for Spanish as well. So thank you. We do have an alignment document to Head Start standards. Yes, Amanda, as we're kind of waiting to switch over, I can answer as best we can. But yes, we do have an alignment document to Head Start standards as well.
All right, I'll stop sharing. Shall I, or do we feel like people are still in and I should leave this up, or shall I get ready for the next?
You should probably get ready for the next, but I would also say I'm seeing a question come through from people that I know who are just kind of departing, and I'll answer. One that says, if for interest in pilot, please contact your account executive. There's some piloting questions. We would love the opportunity to work with you and understand your needs and develop a pilot program. Just reach out to your account executives and they can work directly with you.
So
great questions.
For all of the new joiners, we've got Scholastic here ready to answer your questions and give a brief presentation.
Okay. Are we good? Would you like to go ahead and start over?
So yeah, go ahead and start.
Okay, perfect, great. Again, thank you all for joining us here at the Scholastic virtual booth here to answer some of your questions about Pre-K on My Way. We are very excited about the program, about what we have put together, and the lead developers are in the room and on the call today to answer your questions. we think it's very important that we're here to be responsive to your needs. We respect the importance of this decision, and we know how difficult a review is. And in creating this program, we work with amazing researchers across the country. We work with CLI to develop our language module with our dear friend Scout. We worked with Dr. Chin from the Erickson Institute, and we developed our wonderful math module using Lala as the guide to take your students through math. And then we worked with the Yale Collaborative in the power of story as we take students through the alphabet and those foundational skills. But in doing that, our most important partners was teachers across Texas. So this program was created alongside of the teachers in Texas, as they told us not only what students need to know and be able to do, but also told us exactly what they needed as teachers to effectively implement this curriculum. And in doing that, we feel that we've created and made sure that the program is ready to be implemented seamlessly inside of classrooms. But it is a bit different in design in terms of review, and it can be a different program to review. And so the opportunity to answer your questions is very valuable to us. So we'll talk about that a little more, but I want Nancy, if you would quickly show just the short overview video so we can kind of capture the spirit of the program for everyone.
Every child has a unique story. Pre-K on My Way invites children to celebrate their individuality, from culture and language to interest and abilities. Watch children build on strengths throughout a learning adventure while preparing for kindergarten. Available in English and Spanish, Pre-K on My Way builds language, literacy, and math skills, led by our friendly mascots. Scout the Squirrel is nuts about language and vocabulary, helping children collect words to add to their mental book bags. Pablo the Parrot takes flight, guiding children in building literacy skills through the power of story. Lala the Lizard transforms numbers into fun, helping children understand mathematical thinking. All the while, children learn skills in science, social studies, writing, and more. Don't forget our favorite big red dog, Clifford, supporting children with social and emotional skills. Pre-K on My Way provides multiple weeks of flexible instruction with exciting themes. Children engage with authentic narratives in English and Spanish, including read-alouds, alphabet books, classroom libraries, and digital little e-readers. Pre-K on My Way teaches to identify and understand the world around us with a diverse collection of multicultural songs from award-winning artists. Engaging circle time activities and opportunities for purposeful play. Pre-K on My Way inspires children to develop a lifelong love of learning, and teachers enjoy leading the journey.
Thanks, Nancy. And again, always makes us smile to see the colors and see our characters pop out. And we know that your kids will get that same feeling when they're engaged in the curriculum. This is a teacher's guide that you would have within Pre-K on My Way, which you would provide you the overview for your instruction of each week of instruction, what your students are supposed to learn, and the materials that you need. But the heart of our instruction, and when going over Pre-K on My Way, we encourage you, and I think you'll be excited to dig into our teaching cards. This is a large group card that I have here. This is where the meat of my instruction is going to be found. This is what teachers told us they needed to implement an effective pre-K curriculum in the classroom. They need the instruction in the moment of working with students, not find it in a teaching guide to where they have to wield it around and try to find it in the moment, but they need it right there in their hands. So when I'm teaching you the word idea, I'm teaching you with a beautiful picture card, but my instruction is right there for me. When I'm working in small group, my small group cards are right here, so I can teach or hand that off to an assistant helping in my room. That's the innovative design around the teaching guide and ease of use. High quality research-based instructions, but in partnering with teachers, we made sure that this program could be implemented and implemented well inside the classroom. So I know there's questions, and I want to make sure that we hold to the time that we promised of just a 5-minute overview, so you had 15 minutes to answer questions. And we have the wonderful creators and designers who literally sat side by side for years to make sure that this program was designed and created with Nancy Garrity and Natalie Boyans Maui, who are here to answer how the English and Spanish work side by side to meet the needs of your students. Arnitra Duckett, Vice President for Scholastic, is here with us, as well as our Senior Vice President, Chris Hedrick. So making sure we stick to your time and your need to ask us questions, please fire away, and we are happy to provide the answers.
That's great. And I'm Nancy. We're anticipating that some of your questions might be related to the things you expressed in your vision, your pre-K vision yesterday, which spoke to us as well. So thank you for that. We also think you'll probably have some questions about the TRR rubric. You heard from Melissa that the Pre-K on My Way program is under re-review. And I think she shared that she's hoping to get that back up and shared with people by the end of the month. So if you have any specific questions about elements of the TRR rubric today, we're happy to answer them, or if you want to drop them into the chat to the panelists, we can follow up with you. But I did want to let you know that the first item on the TRR rubric, the Pre-K on My Way, meets 100% of the TPGs, and it has been adopted by the Texas State Board of Education. So that won't change in our re-review, but the other items are under consideration now. So with that, if anyone has any specific questions, we're happy to answer them.
Yeah, Nancy or Natalie, I think one to start that is the first one that I see on my screen is the alphabet order and progression in both English and Spanish, and the equitability of that English and Spanish alphabetic story within our program.
Sure, I'll call up that PowerPoint again. So we have, let me show the PowerPoint. Sorry, I am an editorial person. I'm gonna just told people in the last on this. I'm less fluid with the PowerPoints than Jimmy is, but trying my best. So our alphabet alignment. So between English and Spanish, as Jimmy said, Natalie and I worked really closely together to align all of the instruction and all of the literature, vocabulary, all the elements of this program. And one of the pieces of research that we started with was this idea, and we also heard this from people out in the field, that they wanted to visit the letters of the alphabet, the sounds of the alphabet, and formation of letters multiple times throughout the year. So that is the program that we built. We introduce and practice letters in themes 1 through 4, and then we do targeted review again in themes 4 through 8. And we've published a paper, an alphabet knowledge paper, that details the research behind this and shows you exactly where we touch on the alphabet and how throughout our program. And I can let Natalie speak a little bit about the Spanish. You can see on here where we touch on the vowels and consonants. But Natalie, if you have anything to add.
Right. So also one of the things, like I've said, is that English and Spanish, they're not being treated as monolingual languages or programs. This is, we built it together with Nancy so that it will be a perfectly bilingual program that could work in any kind of model, whether it be 50-50, 90-10, whichever you actually work in. And so we actually, English and Spanish support each other in everything that we teach. And so there are some differences in the Spanish because of the Spanish. But we mainly know we support each other so that children really do learn.
And I would say one of the things we also talked about is, and this is true across in a few areas of the curriculum, if there is a program that you use, if you use something in particular, if you use Estrellita for your targeted instruction, that program works well with our program. So if you wanted to supplement with that, you can. But we also provide full instruction in our program, so you don't need to use a program like that.
What, Nancy and Natalie, what makes our high quality text stand out? So, and I think this is a great chance, speaking from our side of what I know and learned, and I know the story of how you selected the text. So I think that's a great time. So a question, what makes our high quality text stand out inside of Pre-K on My Way?
Our favorite question, I have to say. So I'll let Natalie, while I'm queuing up the PowerPoint, Natalie, you want to talk about how much time we spent reading books to each other? Well,
we spent a lot of time reading books to each other, and there were books that were from the entire world. Really, we have books that are from South America, we have books that are from Asia, we have books that are Africa, we have the world. And the books that we selected them as a team. and decided that the ones that we liked, if they were in Spanish, we transadapted to English, and if they were in English, we transadapted to Spanish. But yes, no, the books themselves, I mean, in the office, we would read to each other and people would think that we're not working. We were working, but we're enjoying it as well.
One of the things that apologies, let me get back to this. One of the things that we talked about was whether funny books actually make each other laugh, and whether they flow. If it's a poetic book, does it flow well? So we spent a lot of time searching for the books, reading the books to each other. We also worked closely with our partners at CLI. Jimmy mentioned our partnership with them. They have a program called Developing Talkers that some of you might be familiar with, where it was a literature-based vocabulary development program. And our language module, we have language literacy and math modules within Pre-K on My Way. The language model followed their proven instructional model very carefully, including how they selected books for language development. So we worked with them in that rubric, and we kind of expanded that across all the books that we were selecting, and we selected a lot of books. So when we talked with our advisors in Texas, and we talked with folks in different parts of Texas frequently, and we heard from them, you know, what do you expect from a curriculum from Scholastic? And the first thing they said was books, wonderful books. And so that was what we did. We have 356 books in our program across English and Spanish. There are 192 read alouds, 48 of them are big books. Every lesson in the program starts with a spark from a wonderful, wonderful book, and then leads into from large group to small group and carries into centers aligned to the concept exploration for that week. We have 48 classroom library books that are additional books that align to our themes and our concept explorations that were specifically chosen because the illustrations are so clear that a child can read the book. Even if they're pre-literate, they're not actually reading yet, they can feel like a reader by exploring those books, and they can learn from them. And we have our little e-readers, which are digital books, also aligned to the concept explorations for each week, and those are accessible from school or from home. And then finally, we have our alphabet books. We created alphabet books across English and Spanish that teach the alphabet, that touch on phonological awareness, that have some sight words embedded in them if children are ready to start learning those, and that work beautifully across English and Spanish together, which is sometimes tricky to do with the alphabet, but due to our, I think, unique approach to development, we were able to do that. So as Natalie said, if you're teaching in a 50-50 classroom and you're switching from English to Spanish, either from day to day or whatever it might be, those books align really well, and you can move back and forth and teach the same concepts and skills seamlessly. I can talk a little bit about genres and text types. We heard from folks that this was very important to you as well. We know that, from the TPGs, children in pre-K are focused on fiction and informational texts. We have a nice balance of fiction and informational texts across our titles. But in addition to that, we looked ahead to the TEKS for kindergarten at the genres that children will be encountering next year. And we built those into our program as well so that children are exposed to those. Every large group session, as Jimmy held up the large group card, before a teacher goes into the story time portion of large group, she has a mention of the genre of the book, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. And one of those our friends, Scout, Pablo, or Lala, has a little comment to make about why they like that particular text type. So we've got some genres. These are just some examples, and I encourage you to explore in our digital offerings so you can take a look at all of these. We have a lot of songs. We have finger plays. We have a large chart, a big chart of big ideas that has shorter text types on there that are used to pull together the learning around the concept each week. So you see we've got a lot. Here are just some examples of some of the books, some of our big books. And as Natalie said, we scoured the earth for these. So we've got some really exciting titles in here. Encourage you to look at them. We have a lot of award-winning authors. We have some recent Caldecott Award winners. These are our read alouds. And then I don't have all the pictures of all of them in here, but then we have all the other types of books, the classroom library books and the digital books too.
Hey, Nancy and Jimmy, let me interject real quick. I see several questions around professional learning that supports implementation of pre-K on my way. And I want to answer those questions just quickly. So I want to reassure everybody that there is absolutely professional learning. There's both virtual and in-person and hybrid professional learning that's embedded in pre-K on my way. For more information on that, it is customized for your school district based on number of teachers, number of classrooms, number of buildings, et cetera, et cetera. And so for more information about specifically how that would look for you in your district, we can get you directly to your account executive in Texas. And I know that we at Scholastic and that account executive would absolutely love the opportunity to present to you in your district, answer any questions, take a deep dive into our program, whatever it is that we can do to serve you in your pre-K adoption process, including talking about what the customized PD plan for your district would look like. And yes, there is pricing. They can have that conversation as well. And the professional learning for your district would be embedded in that Texas pricing. So I don't know, Nancy, if you can put that slide up when you get a moment of all of the account executives in the different regions of Texas that they cover, so that folks on today's webinar can take note.
Sure. We can also talk about the, you get that slide up here, and I can talk to you about some of the other professional learning that's built into the program as well. I know yesterday folks mentioned the importance of embedded professional learning, and we do have that as well. We have an implementation guide that includes a section on best practices and has research embedded throughout it. In addition to that, within the program itself, particularly on our large group cards, which Jimmy was showing you, at the bottom of every day on every single large group card, we call out something that the teacher has done during that lesson that really makes a difference in children's lives. And we explain how it makes a difference in children's lives, and we give a research bibliography behind that. So we're really trying to help sort of expand teachers' own personal learning along the way and inspire them and help them understand what an amazing impact they're having on children every single day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Questions, so just scanning through questions here, questions related to the technology within the program and all the text being digital, and I'll let Nancy and Natalie expand on that as well. I think it's critical when they talk about the text story and how they search the world for the texts that made sure that that appropriately taught the skill and matched thematically. And that's what's so beautiful about this program, is the authentic nature of all the text in this program. The texts were chosen because they were the right text to teach students from. They were the texts that matched not just the Texas Pre-K guideline, but matched the intent of the theme and the intent of what we want students knowing and doing and thinking about and talking about. We have a plethora of resources that you can use within your LMS, your Schoology, your Google Classroom. Every one of those authentic read alouds is not able to be made available digitally because of the authentic nature of those texts and the rights related to those. But your full instruction is available digitally. And then we have our little e-readers as well. And if you wanted, I think Nancy's pulling that up right now, if you wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Also share that we do have permission for teachers to do Zoom read alouds of all of the read alouds in the program. So as long as schools are virtual, there's no problem legally with you doing Zoom read alouds. And we've actually started working with CLI. They're starting to do some interesting research on most effective Zoom-based read alouds. And they're finding in some of their early findings, unofficially, the importance of that back and forth, which we provide on our large group cards, as Jimmy said. We have a Strive for 5 model based on CLI's model, where we try to have 5 higher order thinking skills reflections back and forth, a serve and return during interactive read alouds. And what we're finding and what we're hearing is that same level of interaction is really important when you're doing a Zoom read aloud or a digital read aloud. So in addition to that, as Jimmy said, we have our little e-readers. I mentioned these a little bit when we talked about our literature. We have 32 books, or actually 64 across English and Spanish, and they are aligned with our 8 themes and with the concept explorations per week. And they're available at home as well as at school. They have simplified navigation, which allows children to really work at that TPG skill where they're being held accountable for being able to navigate independently. And we set them up for success with this, but also challenge them a little bit with this.
Mm-hmm.
We have our digital song collection, which is also available either on our Teacher Hub in school or on our family engagement website from home. That has award-winning, Grammy award-winning artists and musicians. We have some traditional folks who sing like nursery rhyme kinds of songs. We have Divinity Rocks, who I'm showing right now, who is Beyonce's bass player. So there's a wide range of songs, and we have bilingual English-Spanish lyrics for every one of those songs. As Jimmy said, we have all of our digital instructional components online on the Teacher Hub.
And we have Andres 1, 2, 3, just saying.
Oh yes, and Andres 1, 2, 3. And I don't know if any of you saw the concerts that we did over the past couple of months, but Andres and I remember who else was on it. Tommy was on it. There were several people on that were great and helped to raise our spirits over the past couple months. And then built into the program, we have typical technology. We have moments where we use a word processor, moments where a teacher uses a digital camera, moments where we use a chart to make a graph. We take a vote about something and we'll use a graph, the graphing software to do that. Just common tools that a teacher will have. We recommend as an option for using. And then again, that digital professional learning throughout. This one in particular is about using digital tools with children. And then in addition to that, we talked about multiple representations. Folks brought that up yesterday as being important. And one of the things we tried to do is show multiple representations of technology use throughout the program. So you'll see on our big chart of big ideas, we feature it on our vocabulary cards. Wherever we show photos, we tried to, at different points throughout the program, embed authentic use of technology so that children would see how it's being used and understand different contexts for using technology.
Nancy, I see a question. Is there a differentiation embedded?
Yes.
Yeah, the short answer being yes, right, Nancy? Yeah, yes, and I think as Nancy pulls it up, I'd love to answer this question because as a former elementary teacher, it's one of my favorite pieces is that this is an example of a small group card. So in this activity, what my students are going to be doing is they're going to be baking a shape cake and they're going to be using pattern blocks. And as I ask questions of my students on each small group card, each large group card as well, there is differentiation call outs right on the teaching cards for you. So should you encounter a group of students where you ask the students a question and you recognize they're struggling, there are support tips for the teacher right here on your instructional card, as well as when you're dealing with this group of students and you ask them a question and you can see clearly, boy, that came to them really easily. There's an opportunity for me to challenge the student. Those are called out right on every instructional card as well. And Nancy might be able to show you a picture of that on the screen, but yes, differentiation is embedded in every single lesson that you're teaching students right there in the moment of instruction so that you can make the instructional decisions that you need to as an educator while you're teaching. Right, while it's happening, which is we know when dealing with young students, that's the time we need it as a teacher. We need it right then when a student surprises us either way, and we need to know tips to help support that student.
I'm glad you're holding up the physical card, Jimmy, because I can't find my slide that pulls it out, but this is an example of what you were just holding up. So these are two different large group cards. You can see that differentiation right here, and it's color-coded throughout the program. Yellow for additional support, blue for challenge. And then on our small group cards right here, again, we have that differentiation in terms of the questions that we ask, as well as ratcheting the support upward or downward. So you can sort of adjust the entire activity to be appropriate for a younger group of children, or perhaps a group of children you pull together because they're struggling with a particular skill. Or vice versa, children who need an extra challenge. We give a tip for how to ratchet up this activity. And then in addition, these modifications, as Jimmy was saying, that appear on every card, we always have supports at point of use for multilingual learners and also for special needs. So this modification for special needs will vary from physical development to speech development to fine motor. There's a whole variety of special needs that you'll see addressed in that modifications area when you're in small group.
Yes, and yes, Greta, they are available online for you to access wherever you are. I always say planning outside of soccer practice is the real life for a teacher. So yes, they're available online. And I do know Audrey's telling us it is time to switch as well. So I want to value and honor that. But as Chris said, if those of you still in this session from the previous, we would love the chance to come to your district and present to you, whether virtually or whether we can be there physically. We would love that opportunity to share more about Pre-K on My Way. So we appreciate you.
Do we have any other questions? If we don't, I could go into the Teacher Hub and show some of the digital resources.
See if,
Jimmy's scanning.
yeah, I'm looking.
All right, I'll poke in here. So this is our digital Teacher Hub, which you all have access to through the links on the TEA website. And if you don't have those and you want us to point you to them, we're happy to do that. If you just drop a note in the chat, we can make sure we do that. But we have a themes area, skills area, and resources area on our Teacher Hub. So if you go into your themes area, you'll see your 8 themes for the year. You can choose one of your 5 weeks. I'll choose Measure It. Once I'm in here, I can go into my language, literacy, or math lessons. I could also go into my digital planner, which we haven't talked that much about, but there is a robust digital planner where you can see an overview. I'll show you real quick. You can see an overview of all of your instruction. So I can see on day 1, I'm in theme 3, week 3. Here's what I'd be doing in literacy. Here are my TPG codes. Here's what I'd be doing in small group with my TPG codes, independent centers. It looks like someone modified this to move it around a little bit. So it goes all the way down through language, literacy, and math each day. I can also go in and customize any of this. Looks like someone has already customized this one. I can add an activity if I want to. I'll show you that. So let's say I'm going to add right here. I can add a small group activity. I can go into any one of these areas. Let's say I'll go into physical science. Let's see what my small group options are. So let's say I've done my observational assessment the previous week and I know I have a few children who need help in a particular area. I can go in through this tool. I can find an activity that I want to do. And this sort of illustrates our cross-domain nature also, which folks have asked about. So we have an explicit focus on language, literacy, and math, but we do that within science. We do that within social studies. So you can see that we're really doing that, talking about movement and the Make It Move activity. So now I've added a new small group right here to my planner. I can also add a custom tile if I'm going to be taking a field trip or I have a special reader coming in. I can note that and put it into my, my lesson. And I can also add a song. If I want to go into the song collection, let's investigate. I can add any one of these songs. We've got songs about the senses, Mira el clima, Pastos Vacas, Wiggle Jiggle. I can add a song into my planner.
So I do want to just let everyone know that we have quite a few new participants in this block of time. So I just wanted to welcome them and let y'all know that you can do another little presentation if you wanted to.
Sure. Thanks, Audrey. Okay, so welcome. As you got to see, that's kind of a neat way for you to see the overview of the program. What Nancy was showing there is our digital planner, which allows you to customize the instruction to exactly your needs, whether that's differentiating the order, adding your own content, or possibly determining which small groups you're doing on which day. Because we have just an abundance of resources for you to make sure that instruction can happen inside every classroom across your school, across your district, and really support the teacher and the student in the learning. We have 3 that I just love to bring out because I think it's important not only to understand the design of the program, but understand the passion of the program and the enjoyment that it is going to bring students and teachers. We have 3 wonderful mascots with Pablo. Pablo himself worked with Yale to make sure that we had the power of story embedded in this program as students are building their social emotional needs and focusing on mind builders within our literacy module as they soar through the alphabet. We have Lala, our lizard. He works with our math module and takes students through explicit instruction in large group, small group, and independent in math. And we partnered with Dr. Chen from the Erickson Institute to ensure the absolute best, most recent pedagogy and math learning of young students is embedded within Pre-K on My Way. And then my personal favorite is Scout the Squirrel, who takes students through the language module of Pre-K on My Way as they develop, as they become developing talkers. And we partnered with CLI with their developing talkers research and their developing talkers method of instruction to make sure that that's embedded in a full year curriculum with these beautiful vocabulary cards, which I'm holding here. So that is the design, and that is the way that Pre-K on My Way is put together. So large, small group, and independent instruction in 3 intentional models based on research from partners across the country. But the biggest partner is the teachers. We sat with Texas teachers when this program was created to hear what they needed, not just in terms of best practices instruction, but in real life, in the real classroom. What do you need as a teacher to make sure we can implement this? And ease of use is what sets this into truly an innovative program. So I'm gonna let Nancy play the real quick commercial, talk just 1 more minute about that ease of use, and then give you the chance to answer questions.
Every child has a unique story. Pre-K on My Way invites children to celebrate their individuality, from culture and language to interest and abilities. Watch children build on strengths throughout a learning adventure while preparing for kindergarten. Available in English and Spanish, Pre-K on My Way builds language, literacy, and math skills, led by our friendly mascots. Scout the Squirrel is nuts about language and vocabulary, helping children collect words to add to their mental book bags. Pablo the Parrot takes flight, guiding children in building literacy skills through the power of story. Lala the Lizard transforms numbers into fun, helping children understand mathematical thinking. All the while, children learn skills in science, social studies, writing, and more. Don't forget our favorite big red dog, Clifford, supporting children with social and emotional skills. Pre-K on My Way provides multiple weeks of flexible instruction with exciting themes. Children engage with authentic narratives in English and Spanish, including read-alouds, alphabet books, classroom libraries, and digital little e-readers. Pre-K on My Way teaches to identify and understand the world around us with a diverse collection of multicultural songs from award-winning artists, engaging circle time activities, and opportunities for purposeful play. Pre-K on My Way inspires children to develop a lifelong love of learning, and teachers enjoy leading the journey.
Thanks, Nancy. So when you have the opportunity to review Pre-K on My Way in your decision-making process, we have the teacher's guide for you, the traditional teacher's guide, which provides the instructors what their overview of their week is going to look like. But when we say that we redesigned and we reimagined what the teacher needed in terms of actually teaching tools, the heart of the instruction, and which can make it a little unique for a review, is actually found within each of these teaching cards. So this is a large group card from Pablo's unit, and what this card is going to allow me to do is have what I need as a teacher in the moment of instruction. So this is the Spanish version of the program, so Pre-K on My Way in Espanol. And when I go to actually instruct from this beautiful big book, in which we have 24 embedded within this program that come alongside, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip my teaching card right on the back of this big book, so that when I go to instruct you as my students, as we're reading aloud, the points that I want to call out as a teacher are right there for me on the back of the book. Just one example of paying attention to the needs of the teacher that makes it unique, that makes it imaginative, and makes it so important for instruction. A small group is the same way. The teaching is actually found on the small group card, so that when I'm working with students, and I've worked inside of classrooms with 4-year-olds who are coming up to you and asking you for a gazillion things, very tough to meet their needs when I have to have a huge teacher's manual there with me. So this is my small group card. This is providing me what I need to implement the instruction for my students. So that's the innovative design that comes with Pre-K on My Way. So we want to make sure that we give you the time to ask the questions, because we recognize that's so critical in your decision making. And what's amazing about this opportunity is we have the lead developers of Pre-K on My Way in the room with us. So I'll introduce them in just a moment. Also want to introduce Arnitra Duckett, our VP of Marketing, and Chris Hedrick, our Senior Vice President, who is here to support and answer questions. But this program was designed physically side by side, with Natalie Bullions-Maui and Nancy Garrity working side by side in New York to make sure that the Spanish and the English version are fully equitable. And so they're here to answer questions for you and to make sure that we can provide as much clarity as we can today about Pre-K on My Way.
Thank you, Jimmy. So I'm Nancy, and I'm going to share my screen again. We're really happy to be here with you today. Natalie and I wish we were physically in the same room again, but we're not, but we're happy to be here virtually. And we know yesterday we heard you all talking loud and clear about your vision for what you will have in your classrooms and how you like to teach and what you value most. And we were really heartened by that, because I think we share the same values. This was exciting for us to see, so thank you for that. And I imagine you probably have questions related to this. I know you probably also have questions about the TRR rubric and the review of Pre-K on My Way. And I just want to acknowledge, as Melissa shared, that our program is currently under re-review. I think the TEA is hoping to release the final report by the end of the month. But I wanted to let you know today, if you have any specific questions about any of the areas of the rubric, we're happy to answer those. And I also wanted to let you know that on section 1 of the TRR rubric, Pre-K on My Way does meet 100% of the TPGs and has been adopted by the Texas State Board of Education. So that will not change in our re-review. So with that, if anybody has any questions, please let us know. Happy to answer.
Yeah, a great question, Nancy, that I saw, and first time we've been asked this so far, so kind of a chance for us to celebrate the Homeschool Connection, so the connections to the home, and we have a family exchange which provides that, and Nancy might be able to call that up. So a full digital access with the family exchange. One piece that is won't show as well in the family exchange, so I will just describe it, are these awesome chat bands. Had I known that question was coming, I would have had one on for you. These awesome chat bands that go with each unit and week of instruction that you can put on the student's wrist, and when they go home, it has a question related to that theme. So that's just that physical connection for each theme that students go home, and we hope that the adult in that student's life at least reads the chat band, and that spurs conversation of what's going on in the school. But Nancy, if you want to talk through that part, that's a pretty cool screen there.
Sure. So I'm showing on the screen our family exchange live. So you'll see we have these 3 different areas at the top. You can jump straight to our songs. You can jump to our resources. You can launch the little e-readers. And I'll talk through a little bit about each of these. So our song collection, we have 8 themes in our program. Each theme has 4 weeks in it, and each one focuses on a specific concept exploration that ties together all the learning for that week. Our songs that are available from home and also from school are available in English and Spanish. You'll see we have a mix. It's a bilingual collection. So we have a mix of songs here that are from both. And I can show you one of them right here. We always provide English and Spanish lyrics to support that home connection. We have a little bio about our artists down below. We have a wide variety of artists. I encourage you to play this on your own. I won't play it now. I won't be able to stop. And if any of you saw some of our concerts that we put on over the past couple months to sort of raise spirits and get children moving, you probably already know about our songs. So each one of those directly ties to learning and that's happening in the classroom. In addition, we have our family bulletins that teachers can refer to. They can either download them and send them home in a child's backpack, or they can refer parents to them online, and they can download them from here. Each family bulletin has a summary of what's happening that week, as well as an opportunity to make a My Book together. So it has a story starter and a little bit of an explanation about how parents and children can work together to write their own story related to the children's learning for that week. And we're sure to explain to parents right at point of use that their child is traveling along a writing continuum. They're developing their writing skills. So if their child is able to put something on paper, whether that looks like early scribbles, or it starts to look like letter forms, or they're starting to string together letters. If that writing is meaningful to that child, the parent should celebrate it and run with it. So we give that little bit of information to parents as well. We also have family activities. Let me click into here. You can see a preview of them. So these, again, are printables. You can actually fold it, put it in your bag. These are activities that we wrote, again, that align to the concepts for each week, that help parents play a little game with their kids at home. So, and some of them you can do, I don't know how many people are doing it nowadays, but when we wrote these originally, we were imagining a parent in line at the grocery store trying to keep their children busy. What sort of an activity could we give them to do that would connect to the learning for that week in school? So those are our family activities. And then, we have the chat bands up here or not? No, I don't. All right. So in addition, so these are all the resources. And then from here, parents can go into the little e-readers. I already have those up, so I don't have to log in front of you all. So this is the little e-readers website. So the parents can link directly to here. Teachers can also link directly to here. And in our little e-readers, this is where we have our collection of 32 books in English, 32 books in Spanish. They can toggle back and forth between the two. They can go in, they're arranged in pairs to really help with that conceptual learning. And children can read along. They can practice with either watching the story, which is sort of like a reading rainbow kind of experience where there's a little bit of animation. And then there's also a digital book where children really have to click through each page, and it gives them some practice with that TPG skill about using and navigating technology so they can
Nancy, just so to specify, this is just the digital part, but we have a lot more books than just.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We do. These are the digital books. Yeah, we have 356 books in our program across English.
Yes. Yes.
So 4 of them are digital on this particular platform.
Yes. So a discussion of integration. So these are links. So these are linked out. So these are open. So you can link out from Canvas and Google and your LMS that you're using. We use Scholastic Digital Manager on the teacher side, and then which the teacher can then log into the Pre-K on My Way teacher dashboard from that piece.
We also have, in terms of integration, I can share that within the teaching guides, at the beginning of each teaching guide that a teacher has to give her an overview of the learning that Jimmy's shown on our for large group and small group, we have a family engagement reminder, and we remind teachers exactly what she has to provide to parents or to point them to on the website. And we do have the ability for the teacher to print things out and send them home if she wants to. And then we also have moments throughout the program where we encourage teachers to draw in a child's home culture. We do that a lot across English and Spanish. Within the English program, we'll encourage teachers, if they have children in their classroom who speak a different language, to give them a moment to contribute something from their home language, or to share a special song they like to sing at home, or a special meal they like to have at home. So we really made an intentional effort to include the children's home life and culture in the classroom, in addition to sending home what's happening in the classroom.
Yeah, and I do know some people are going to switch out, and feel free to stay with us if that's. But a question: our partnerships with CLI and CLI Engage. So a question is, are we aligned to CLI Engage? And our language unit with Scout was in partnership with CLI in creating that language unit, and then of course using the circle assessment, we worked alongside of the crew at CLI to make sure that our full curriculum allows students to be exposed not just to the pre-K guidelines, but what you find in the circle assessment and what the circle assessments measure students on, fully aligned to that. So we have that strong existing partnership with CLI and Dr. Trish Zucker, including with the circle assessment CLI Engage. So wanted to respond to that question. And we have observational assessments across the program for each week of instruction for each module as well.
We do. Thank you, Jimmy. And if people want to, our program's available online for exploration there. And our implementation guide has a lot of specific information about what you're asking. There's a whole section on our research foundations, including that language, the developing talkers research that's built into the program. And as Jimmy said, Dr. Tricia Zucker, who's co-director of CLI, has also shared that she feels that our small group lessons are a great component, not a great component, a great complement to the circle assessment, the same way you might use the CLI Engage activities for follow-up to that assessment. You can use the Pre-K on My Way small group activities for follow-up to that assessment. And there's a digital tool on our Teacher Hub to let you search activities by TPG code, by domain and category.
Yeah. And a list of themes. Do you have the theme slide, Nancy? The beautiful with the 8 themes.
Oh, yeah. Let me show you that.
Well, while Nancy is pulling that up, I just want to remind people that it is 3:10 if you're looking to transition to another room. And please, if you're wanting to stay, go ahead and stay. But let's make sure if you're transitioning, you can get to the other rooms too.
We won't be offended. So yeah, these are the themes that Jimmy was talking about. So this is our program matrix. You can see themes 1 through 8. We start child-centered with me and you, stepping outward into our community, delving into those science-specific skills, and let's investigate, really working on those process skills that children can then apply for the rest of the year through Discover Animals, Healthy Me, Let's Create Our Earth. And then finally, at the end of the year, we really wanted to celebrate all children have learned and talk about persistence and resilience and look ahead at what's to come. So that's our Ready, Set, Go theme in there.